Hey guys, it's Mary Ott. Some of you may know that my degree is actually in vocal performance, and I'm a teacher. I teach music privately, and I also teach at a public school. I have Kodai training. Kodai is a type of vocal music education that I use in elementary school. It's one basically that Fräulein Maria taught kind of that way in The Sound of Music. We use the solfege, do, re, mi, fa, so, and all that. And being a classically trained singer, my degree is in vocal performance. I got my certification after that that degree, and I studied jazz, not just in college, but especially after college. I studied a lot of jazz. I really enjoy jazz, and I also have been writing songs since for a very long time. I've been writing songs. One of my favorite songs that I wrote, and one that I would like to share with you on YouTube, is to try to help people learn how to write songs. People write music and it's awful. And as a Christian, even in Christian music, sometimes it's like, what were you thinking? This is no structure, it has no form, this is just awful. And it might be a wonderful spirit-filled music song that you've written, and you play the piano and it sounds really nice and the Holy Spirit falls and it's wonderful. But he also requires us to be excellent, and I was just trying to give you some information. And in fourth grade, my fourth grade class, I actually do a unit on songwriting where we talk about the basic structure of songs, the different parts of songs, because I'll be on websites trying to download lead sheets or whatever, I could make them, but it's easier to download them. And the song parts are not even named right. They'll call a bridge something that's nothing like a bridge, or they'll call a chorus and they'll have, that's not a chorus, that's a bridge, or this is that. And so I go through basics like that, and so I wish I could just teach all of this on Facebook so that people, on YouTube, so that people could know, okay, this is what a verse is, this is what a chorus is, this is what a pre-chorus does and where it goes and what it's supposed to function as, and this is a bridge, and my fourth graders get it. So I wish I could express that on YouTube, and I may do some supplemental teachings on that. One of the lessons that I teach in my fourth grade music class is lyrics and how to write good lyrics. And when I talk about rhyming patterns, and I'll actually play an Adele song that the kids know and they'll sing along, and they will actually, we'll talk about her rhyming patterns and where she kept a pattern up and where she broke it and why she broke that pattern. It's really cool. So this song is one that I wrote, and I'm going to kind of touch a little bit on rhyming patterns, and not just rhyming patterns, but rhythm patterns. And when I don't, as a musician, when people think rhythm, they think of quarter note, half note, and all that. They don't think of the rhythm that the words make naturally. And if you studied the English language, and if you studied poetry, then you know that the English language has a flow and it has a meter. That's the rhythm pattern that I'm talking about. The rhythm that the words make when you're actually writing them, putting those words together and the syllables and where to put them. And we call that meter. And in high school, we talked about that, and probably you have too. In your high school, and maybe even in college, we have to take an English class, an English lit class. So this might be some review for some people, and it may be brand new if you didn't pay attention in English class and you were just kind of coasting through. This can help you out, because to be a good songwriter, you need to be a good poet. And the one day when I was driving to work, I love Sirius Sinatra. That's one of my favorite channels on Sirius XM. And so I credit Sirius Sinatra to this song because it inspired this. And I have about half an hour ride to work, so I wrote this song on the way to work one day, and to lose the night. The first line that I wrote, and this song was just a song. It's a lot of times songs are inspired by events going on in your life, and sometimes they're just songs. And you place yourself kind of like a method actor would. You place yourself in a situation of how you would feel, and you could touch emotions that you might feel even if you weren't in that situation. So this is a song that I hope you enjoy, and I'm going to walk through it, all the lyrics with you. The words have a rhythm. I feel a thrill at your hello. I feel, it's one. I feel a thrill at your hello. Okay, so we have this short, long pattern. I feel a thrill at your hello. We call that pattern iambic, and because there's 4 groups of syllables, we call a group of syllables a foot. A poetic foot is a group of syllables. And the kind of syllable, the kind of foot that you have in that particular line is short, long, short, long. We call that particular foot iambic. Now, Shakespeare really liked that foot, but he usually put 5 of them in a line. But 5 is great. Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. You know, to be or not to be. You know. So, yeah, ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. That's Shakespearean. Most of his sonnets, ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. Short, long, short, long, short, long, short. Iambic, that was called pentameter because you have 5 of those groups of syllables, 5 feet per line. So we call that iambic pentameter. But in music, we like 4. Yeah, so 4 is great. So in this particular line, I had 4 feet. Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. I feel a thrill at your hello. It's 4 feet. So this particular pattern in that particular line, we still call it iambic because it's the short long, but we call it tetrameter, which means there's 4 feet per line. The next line that I wrote goes, the thought of you makes my face glow. Short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long. So you have 4 feet still, and you still have that short, long pattern that's not broken. I feel a thrill at your hello. The thought of you makes my face glow. So, of course, you know that I feel a thrill at your hello rhymes with the thought of you makes my face glow. It rhymes. You know that. But the internal part of the lines actually fits well too. And those, when you build a song that way, it's a lot easier to put music to it. And so let's go to the third line. I catch my breath when you're in view. So that's still ba-bum, 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 iambic tetrameter. And now we have a new sound at the end of the line, so it's not going to be sound A, which is the O sound. I feel a thrill at your hello. It's the thought of you makes my face glow. This one is I catch my breath when you're in view. So it's a different rhyme, so we're going to call that B. So when we had A, now I'm going to have B. So I need another sound, a word that ends with the sound ooh. So the next line I'm going to have is I'm fairly certain I'm in love with you. Now, I just kind of messed up my rhythm pattern. I'm fairly certain I'm in love with you. That kind of messed up my pattern, but sometimes you can do that if you're under a crunch. Sometimes the meaning of the words mean more than sticking to your pattern. The message you're trying to convey means more. It's worth more than sticking with your pattern. So it's okay to break it, sometimes, and especially if you're going to repeat it. So that's the first stanza, and that would be kind of your part A section of your song. And in jazz, I'm going to repeat that with different lyrics, but I'm going to have the same melody. So I need to stick with the same pattern of syllables, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long. And also I need to stick with kind of the same rhyme pattern. So A, because jazz is a lot of times has an AABA form. So that was stanza 1. Stanza 2 is going to sound a whole lot like it. The A pattern repeats with a different lyric. If we were talking about rock or pop, we would call that a verse. Verse 1, verse 2. But we can't really do that with jazz because the B part really isn't a chorus. It's just a B part. So let's look at the second stanza. I broke my pattern a little bit on the first line. I get butterflies when I hear you sigh. Well, you can't really get, I get frogs. I had to go with butterflies. So I kind of stuck with the same thing, tried to change the rhythm a little bit, but that's okay because the rest of it's going to be the same. Oh baby, please hold me tight. So instead of short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, it's broke up a little bit. Again, you can do that a little bit, especially once you started a pattern. You can kind of break it a little bit. And then the third line, I catch my breath when you're in view. Ah, okay, so that fit. Da 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 da. Okay, so that one I don't have to change. And then the last line, I'm fairly certain I'm in love with you, which is the repeat of the last line of the first stanza. So that works well. Now, once we've done part A, A1 or A, and then we have A prime, our second part A, now we're going to go to something that sounds a little different in jazz. Now, in rock or pop or worship music or country, you're going to go to a chorus. Now, you might have already gone to a chorus. You might have just done verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, bridge, chorus, chorus, out. You might do that. But with jazz, we do an A, B, A, and then sometimes we'll do an instrumental interlude and then go back to the B part again and then the last A part, which is actually what I did when we recorded the song. So the B part, which is the third part of the song, is gonna sound different. Now, there's gonna sound some things that are the same because you need to not be totally different, but I actually used a different rhyming pattern. Instead of going A, A, B, B, I decided if you notice, I didn't rhyme the first 2 lines and then the second 2 lines. I rhymed line 1 with line 3 and line 2 with line 4. So instead of AABB pattern, I went with an ABAB pattern. So not only am I going to have a different melody here, I'm going to have a different rhyming pattern. And that just reinforced the fact that this is a different section. And so it's something that I did strategically. Actually, before I wrote this stanza, I actually thought, no, I've been doing AABB. I'm going to do ABAB this one. And so it worked. That was stanza 3. I could sit and talk with you for hours. Those lovely hours, how they fly. And I actually broke up the pattern of the syllables, the feet. I broke it up too. It's a little different. So B is totally different. Not completely, it still has to fit in the song, but it's noticeably different from the other sections. But when I get back to the A part, because I have AABA, when I get back to that last part, it needs to be like the first 2 parts. So I need to go back to my AABB pattern. And I also need to go back to that iambic tetrameter feel, or almost to that iambic tetrameter feel, generally the iambic tetrameter. So here is stanza 4. Now notice I ended the last line of the stanza 4 with the same last line, or fairly close to it, fairly close to it, as the last line from stanza 1 and stanza 2. And I did go back mostly to the iambic tetrameter feeling, but the ache when we're apart should have told me from the start, but maybe I always knew. Okay, so it went back to that pattern of AABB and then the iambic tetrameter pattern. And so whenever you're putting it together, when I got to work, I actually sat at the keyboard on my break and plunked it out and wrote it out. I actually wrote in the key of E, and I wrote it out. Now when I did that, I intentionally did that so that I went to a deceptive cadence, and I do that strategically because whenever you have a phrase in music, you want to have a coordinating and responsive phrase to it, kind of like a first thought, second thought. And we do that in music, and a lot of times we do it with a deceptive cadence. So you don't end on a 1 chord, like if you were in the key of C, you're not going to end on a C chord. You're going to end that first cadence, say on an F chord. I really like the 6th chord, which would, in the key of C would be an A chord, an A minor chord. Excuse me. So you have to be very strategic about having the da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-da-dum. It's kind of a classical infusion into jazz, but the jazz songwriters, they were very, very smart. They were very well trained about how to write that. They taught music better than we do a lot of times. Our kids can go to public school. They might not have a music teacher, and they grow up and they go to band, or they go sing in choir, or they play football. They don't know these things, which was kind of if you learned music and if you wrote music, you learned these things back in the day. And it's a shame we don't have that in society today, because we have so much music out there. And so, seriously, that's awful. And there's one song in worship music out there, and I really do like the song. I really do. But it ends on a 4 chord. And it's the song that never ends because it ends on a 4 chord. So whenever you finish the chorus on the 4 chord, then you have to go back to the 1 chord, which means you have to go back and sing the chorus again. And then 4 chord, and then you have to go back to sing the chorus again. It's a song that never ends because it ends on a 4 chord. And you just have to resolve it to go back to 1. And yeah. So please don't write songs that end on a 4 chord. Please just don't do it. We'll talk about chord structure later. I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about some basic, very, very basic. We didn't touch on a whole lot, but I wanted you to see that when you are a songwriter, you need to be a good poet first. And it's okay to break the rules. Just don't do it a whole heck of a lot, because you have to have some sort of structure before you can break away from the structure. Yeah. If you have no structure, then it just falls apart, and it doesn't make any sense. You can't sing the same whole line over and over again. And so many worship songs, 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord. 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord. They use those same 4 chords in almost every single worship song in the last 20 years. Unless you are playing the random hill song that some of the hill songs actually have they have a secondary dominant. That's really nice. But yeah, and even country music is the same thing. If you're a guitar player and you know your G chord, your C chord, your D chord, and your E minor chord, you can just capo the rest and you're good. You're awesome. Yeah, that's a cop out. Learn your stuff. So this is the first informational video that I put together. Hopefully it will inspire you to learn a little bit more, so you can actually have some good songs out there. Oh crap, thank you very much. If you would like to actually listen to this song, I have a video. It's a little bit further down in my video library. and it's called Fairly Certain. I wrote it a few years ago, and I recorded it a few years ago, so enjoy. It's me singing and a good friend of mine playing the keyboard. He's actually a jazz piano player. I'm just a piano player. I can do a little bit of jazz, but I play it very normal, so I'd rather sing jazz. Oh, by the way, I did mention that I wrote this in the key of E. This is just a little thing, a little side note. I wrote it in the key of E, but I lowered it to the key of D when I actually sang it, because my voice, like many sopranos, my voice changes from the mid-range to the high range. We call that a passaggio. And my voice changes from my mid to my high at D. And that happens quite a bit, actually, with a lot of sopranos. And I didn't want for my voice to go into its high range. Not for jazz. For jazz, I really prefer to keep it in that mid and even the lower mid, upper chest voice is really sexy. And then, I use that word, sorry. But I think for jazz, it's really appropriate to stay in your upper chest, lower mid, maybe even a little bit of higher mid-range, but don't go into high voice. It's not opera. Opera, yeah, sing your high voice. But in jazz, keep it and low. So that's why I lowered it to the key of D, so that I wouldn't actually go into my high register for this particular song when I recorded it. Look at it if you'd like. If you don't, hope the information helped you out as a songwriter or as a musician or as a poet. And keep checking back, because I might get inspired to write some more, to do some more videos about education. Or you could just show up to one of my 4th grade classes when I go through my songwriting unit. My kids like it. Hope you have a great night. Talk to you later. Bye.